stay up to date with all the latest direct from the NBL?
That is enormous!
Well, download the free NBL app now. It's jam-packed with live scores, stats, exclusive content, and much more. Get it from the App Store and Google Play now.
Hello and welcome to the Gold Coast Convention and Exhibition Centre. I'm Felix Von Hoff. Next to me, NBL legend Derek Rucker, and we're getting ready to tuck into the second game of a three-game stand here. The first, of course, the Cairns Taipans getting a quick 5-point win over the southeast at Melbourne Phoenix. Both teams looking fantastic. Brisbane, of course, coming off a win here in their loss in their first game. Rocco Zikarsky, the major story here. But overall, right now, Derek Rucker, the Blitz has been fantastic.
Oh man, the energy levels and the intensity and the attitude of the guys out there on the floor, and teams are playing to win. We saw what happened in the last game, close game down the stretch, and both coaches elected to go with some of their top dogs, and that's rare in a preseason tournament in any code. So, you know, I just don't see any negatives from this event. It's been exciting. There's been so much to do away from the court, Felix, and you know, hopefully it can turn into an annual thing. We know the Gold Coast won a franchise, been well documented now, but here we are, and game 2 on day 5 is going to be outstanding.
Well, both of these two teams coming off a loss. We talk about winning and losing means nothing in the preseason. Plenty of teams have gone 0-3 and won the championship. Plenty of teams have gone 3-0 and done nothing in the regular season. But you do always want to get a couple of early wins on the board, start building that winning culture. So both these teams will be hunting it out, and I reckon there'll be a little bit of aggression out there.
And you want to be playing with some form of an identity and some level of success. Like, you know, the Blitz hasn't always been the best indicator as to who's the best team in the competition, but certainly you don't want to be the team struggling coming out of this, because the first game, Felix, is 8 days away. We're that
it's
close.
So close.
We're
so close.
that close, and you do not want to be trying to figure out things. We already have one team trying to figure out things, and you definitely don't want to be them right now.
Well, in your time, I will touch on when you refer to a team trying to think about things, you would say the Adelaide 36ers is that team in reference. And, of course, Franklin, their import was just announced by Olgun Ulick that he is going to be released. And I would recall in my memory one of the earlier releasings, and again, this is never a knock on the individual player. Some players just don't fit within a certain system, and it appears with CJ Bruton's system in Adelaide, it just wasn't the right fit for Franklin. That's an awfully early time to rip the Band-Aid off in terms of an import.
Well, I think it was off the back of continued evaluation. I'd start to hear whispers about he may not be the guy 10 to 14 days ago, but I think to be fair to the player, they wanted to give him time to get in this environment.
Yeah.
Let's turn, these aren't the bright lights that we're going to see, but they're semi-bright. And they give you a pretty good indication whether that guy is probably going to have what it takes to perform when the NBL season comes. And as you said, and you're so true, this is a guy that has, you know, he's had a pretty good career so far. He has talent, but it's just not the right mix for him. And maybe this country isn't the right fit for him. He may go to Europe and excel. It's so unique, our competition.
It's tough, man. It is a cutthroat league for the imports and the local players as well, just the same. But the Blackmore's NBL sponsorship could not have come at a better time, if you can hear the hoarseness in our voices right now. It's starting to grow around a little bit, but luckily for us, Tajir McCall, Cairns Taipan superstar, and we'll say coach for the time being, and coach the game of the Blitz, is going to be joining us all throughout the game. He's going to give us the lowdown on the Taipans, the league, maybe even an insight into life as an NBL import, which you guys will be able to chop it up to the nth degree about.
Well, he's one of my favorite players in the league because he just plays. He goes hard. He's not caught up in overthinking and analyzing. He's got great body language. He's a very exciting player. He's athletic, and he's someone who I think could be in this league for a very long time. And the Taipans, you know, I want to hear more about them as a crew, where they're headed, and how he really thinks they'll fare this season. Can they reach the heights that they did last season, which was pretty lofty? You know, they realistically had a chance to knock off the Kings. If they didn't have some injuries going into Game 3, who knows what could have happened in that game.
There was certainly a chance. We'll focus in on the teams we've got here before us, of course, the Illawarra Hawks and the Brisbane Bullets. We'll start with the Bullets. Now, the excitement machine is Rocco Zikarsky, and we'll see him out. A minor ankle injury in their first game of the Blitz. Looks to be good to go, which is lucky for him with so many NBA scouts. The ceiling on this guy is absolutely unbelievable.
Well, at 7'3", Felix, the ceiling isn't too far from his head in reality. And I think, he's shown a lot more to his game, I think, than people had expected at his young age. But the thing is, he's really taken the Brisbane and Southeast Queensland basketball community. And, the young people really flock to him, and they see him as almost a hero already. And I just really am excited. I think now they've got a nice attack. They can give Baines a bit of a breather and come in with a youthful, energized, even bigger Rocco Zikarsky. And, the eyes of the world are on him also. He is someone who's projected to go extremely high in the draft in 2025. And I admit, he's shown me more than I expected.
Same here. He's really, really strong in that first game. But we'll cross over to our courtside reporter, who's going to have all the lowdown for the Brisbane Bullets, the Illawarra Hawks throughout this game. Kelsey Brown, welcome.
Hi, Felix. Hi, Derek. I'm really excited for this game. I feel like both of these teams are obviously looking to improve their position from the ladder last year. They've both introduced some really great Australian young talent. You spoke about Zikarsky before. We've got Bannon as well for the Bullets. And Lachlan Aldridge, I know everyone is really excited about. So I think this is a great game for them to be able to lead into NBL 24 with a bit of confidence if they can get a win.
Well, you're spot on there. It certainly is. We talk about the imports so much, but sometimes the Blitz can be the best time for these young players to be able to get a chance, and that's why it's tough. Bannon, of course, being ruled out of this one with a slight knee knock. It's going to be no issue throughout the season. He should be right to go for round one. But a guy like that, they're the guys you want to get those heavy minutes in, because during practice, during scrimmages, your starters, they've got the chance. You know what they're going to be able to produce, but here's where you find who's going to be the X factor for us this year.
Well, even like an Isaac White, who has shown promise, but still hasn't done anything really as a pro, and he's trying to establish himself in this Brisbane lineup as a guy that you can count on every night. And, the minutes are going to be tight in that Brisbane backcourt with Shannon Scott, Nathan Sobey, and Mitch Norton as your primary three. Now, Isaac White has to show that he can be that fourth option and a very reliable spark plug off the bench.
Well, 13 points for Isaac White in the first half of their previous game, and Liam Santa Maria was even talking about it the other day, saying that he is going to be providing that spark. The Illawarra Hawks, of course, we don't want to go too deep into their last season, because it was a tough one for them, and they went on a long skid, weren't able to get it going, but they look like they've added a few pieces here. Tyler Harvey, another year under Jacob Jackomas. It should be a better year from all reports for the Hawks.
They could have one of the most dynamic and outstanding backcourts in the competition if Justin Robinson can get himself healthy to go along with Tyler Harvey. You have something that no one else has in the competition. Two game-breaking, game-winning guards at a high level, and then you can build out around those two guys. So I'm really excited to see Justin Robinson right here this afternoon, to see what he can present, because remember, going in the last season, he was touted as being a better prospect for the NBL MVP than Derek Walton Jr. was, and we saw what Derek Walton Jr. did in that championship series live and in person, Felix.
Oh, it was a good series. Tyler Harvey, of course, a guy, I still don't think we've seen the scoring potential of Tyler Harvey in this competition. Of course, maybe I'm a little bit biased. I went to college with him when he led the NCAA in scoring. But I still think he's yet to have that huge breakout season.
And that one where he operates with a high level of efficiency.
Yeah.
But, Felix, I thought at about 2/3 of the way through last season, he started to show that he was a true NBL player and someone who gave us a glimpse of what could come this year. And keep in mind, he had to take more risk because of the nature of their lineup and what they were facing and the instability. But now he's got Robinson out there to be the lead guard. They've got some other pieces around him. Don't be surprised if you see the best Tyler Harvey this season.
Well, we certainly hope so. And so do the Illawarra Hawks faithful starters for the Brisbane Bullets. DJ Mitchell, Shannon Scott, Aaron Baines, Nathan Sobey, and Chris Smith, who was pivotal down the stretch for them against Melbourne United in that close loss. For the Illawarra Hawks, Tyler Harvey, Justin Robinson, Gary Clark, Wani Slow LeBook. and Sam Froling as the Brisbane Bullets off to a hot start. Robinson. Sam Froling, another guy looking to have a massive year for the Hawks.
And I expect a progression from him as well. That should be assisted by, as we see Harvey off the glass quickly, but that should be assisted, as I was mentioning, by having Justin Robinson out there.
And we talk about X Factors, Derek Rucker. There may be none bigger, and it's surprising to call him an X Factor, but Aaron Baines, we really want to see the best of him this year.
Well, last year was his opportunity to feel out the league. Hopefully he can have sustained health this season. And if they can get a good contribution from him day in, day out, the Bullets can make some noise, but this is a guy right here. I want to see what the shooter can do, Chris Smith. Big raps coming out of Japan, had a good game in game one, shot it well.
The good stuff, Aaron Baines getting deep into the rim. The Bullets will be hoping that he can have a breakout here. And Tyler Harvey, it's always a great sign for a shooter when they're getting to the rim.
It is.
We know what he can do from the outside, but when you can bring that rim pressure as well and you're that dual threat, you're proving incredibly hard to guard.
Well, you increase the anxiety on the defender. He's already a tough cover, but primarily because you're worried about the step back three off the right hand. You're worried about the floater game. But if he can add really attacking the rim, and he didn't quite do it there, but if he can get on the rim and even draw fouls, man, that will make him so tough to deal with.
And the Brisbane Bullets, look, they can have a tough front court when they put it together. Zakarski's only going to get better and better as this year goes on. And sheer size is sheer size, and you include that with Aaron Baines. They could be tough to stop as Clark looks to get past Baines, doesn't make it work, and Robinson will settle up top. Gets it deep into the paint again. Clark can't get that to fall.
And the great Leroy Loggins has just walked in right next to us, Felix.
They're sitting next to Kel Bruton as well. These two dudes could still suit up.
Well, two of the true pioneers of this competition, along with Al Green, Reg Biddings, guys who everyone that plays in this competition is indebted to. You know the deal, Felix.
Plenty of NBL legends rolling around as Sobey. Just a little too heavy. Justin Robinson draws the charge. Plenty of NBL legends rolling around here. Chris Anstey just before. Of course, the NBL launch on the Sunday night. Many in attendance right there. And it's always great to see the alumni of this league get together. And it's such a strong group.
Well, let's cut to the story. The bottom line is I stayed out too late that evening. That's the truth. And my voice is paying for it. There's no way I should be out past midnight.
At the ripe old age of 28.
Good energy in this game. Guys are trying to put heat on the rim and force defense into collapse situations, which in turn makes them rotate. We saw Sobey on the other end break down his defender and just got nailed with a charge after the pass. What do you think about that call, Felix? Is there any way we can start to pull that out of the game? Is that good defense technically?
It's a tough call because, look, it's after the play. I think once the ball's out of the hand, I don't think it should be whistled a charge. I believe that after the ball's left the hand, it's, unless you make an offensive move that's aggressive, as Aaron Baines just looks to have copped a little knock there, but he's all good running back the other way. Scott.
Little Golden State action
Chris Smith,
right there.
We saw some success for Chris Smith coming off those screens and just getting to pull-ups like that, like he does here against United. He's a lot bigger in person as well.
Yeah, he's a nice shooter of the basketball. Shot it well against Melbourne United the other night. Oh.
And it's all good and well to try to get the attention of the NBA scouts, but to shoot it right into their lap might not be the way to go about that. Derek Rucker, as the Toronto Raptors scout catches that one on the baseline.
Down there with Aaron Moldovan.
All the agents in attendance. It really does have an NBA Summer League vibe to it this year. And I think more so, of course, with the Next Stars program, you get the NBA scouts.
True.
But it's got a very, very nice atmosphere here as Sobey again pushing hard to the rim. Shakes off Tyler Harvey and rewarded with a foul on the way through.
And Baines and Sobey obviously are the driving force for the Bullets. If those two guys can play healthy and be in 85% of the Bullets' games, and in those games, if they can play to 80 to 85% of their potential, the Bullets can really make a case for a position in the play-in. I think any higher than that, realistically, is going to be a stretch. But if you get in the play-in, anything's possible at that point.
Well, Nathan Sobey, of course, just a victim of injury and falling out of the spotlight. When you see that happen, you often forget about players. And then they come out, we forget that, he probably would have been a chance to be on that World Cup team over in the Philippines in Okinawa. But, of course, being injured and coming back from injury, we don't see him out there. And, again, he just falls out of the conscious of the NBL circles. But he's back now, and he looked impressive on Saturday night. And, again, he's looking impressive today from an athletic perspective. As the next star, AJ Johnson, who's set for his exciting year. Just unlucky with the turnover there. Wakasola Book. Baines with a big, strong block there. That's a tough one to go through.
Baines did a great job of getting up and down, and this is what DJ Mitchell can do right there in transition. One of the best three-point shooters in the competition, and the Bullets are fired up. Scott makes a great play.
AJ Johnson, the next star that we just spoke of, whistled for the foul there. Just an unlucky, and that to me right there is a veteran guy that's played coming up against a guy that's just coming out of high school, and that's just a smart, he knows he's got his back turned to the basket. He can draw the charge in the backcourt. Now, maybe a bit of a tough call as well there, but these are the cool things about playing in the professional league. As DJ Mitchell, we see the highlight there, knocking it down and playing his role, which you said will be pivotal. But these are all the things that AJ Johnson will have to learn, and he's looked impressive so far, but it's those little things in professional basketball. You can't catch the ball like that at the half-court line. You're going to get caught out. That's what's so cool to watch these guys develop.
It's the awareness, the feel for the game, realizing the moment and what's going on. And sometimes you can only learn those things by getting out there and, unfortunately, making mistakes like we just saw AJ Johnson and Justin Schuler on camera there. You can see the intensity in his face. He needs to bring a certain team vibe to Brisbane starting off next Friday night at Nissan Arena. They take on the Adelaide 36ers.
So from what we've seen so far, that's a place where you probably want to get your season started, because they do have some stuff to work out in the early going.
But I think Schuler and the Bullets have gone out and been playing to win, playing with a certain intensity and trying to make a statement early about who they are in NBL 24 and beyond.
5-point lead to the Bullets. DJ Mitchell leads the way with 6 points. As Scott again gets to that little push-up.
Nothing
Smart
wrong with
push
that.
Forward by AJ Johnson. Wan Jung Lee from the corner, can't get that to go. Clark back up to Froling. Such a mobile big man, Sam Froling. Johnson. Good defense from Mitchell. Can't get that one to fall with a rebound from Lee. And this is where you'd expect the ball to end up at the end of shot clock in Tyler Harvey's hands. Sobey. DJ Mitchell, 6 already on the game. Make that 9. He leads the way for the Brisbane Bullets.
I mentioned before, he's one of the best three-point shooters in the competition. One of the few Bullets last season that had a positive net rating. Does great things when he's out on the floor. Will be looking to be a better defender this season, but he's still early in his pro career. And Chris Smith lights one up. The Bullets on fire early from the 3.
That's the sort of pressure that the Bullets could put on you. I've played under Justin Schuler before, and he's a shooting-orientated coach. He's always looking for those outside shooters, and he's recruited to be able to fill those gaps that they didn't necessarily have the ability to do last season. Smith. Scott will just steady the ship, 22-9. Bullets just starting to break away. Smith again from outside, looks to go back-to-back. Can't get that to fall.
And I think right there after Baines set a really nice screen up top, I think Smith needs to show a little bit more patience and maybe drop that one down to Baines. He had a man on his back. Just give the guy some love.
But one of the tough parts with Brisbane is that, and I know in the ways that Justin Schuller coaches, it can be incredibly exciting for the fans because they do take momentum and they roll into these things. He's happy for them to take those shots. So sometimes you can go on stretches where, you might be taking shots a little early in the shot clock, but you know what, the way they've been shooting so far, I'm sure he's happy to let them roll with that. Tyrell Harrison into the game, the longest serving Bullet on this roster, 6 years with the Brisbane Bullets.
And again, another guy who had a really good net rating last year, but unfortunately just can't stay in the lineup for longer than 4 to 5 weeks. He messes around with that one there.
And the aggression from Isaac White gets right in the game, straight to the rim. He knows his role on this team. It's to be a pocket rocket off the bench and provide that instant impact on offense. Lee through the middle. White again probing. Can't get that to fall. Harrison fights down low. McDaniel, as he always does, comes up with a hustle play, the offensive rebound. Guys like that invaluable to a team that can get you more possessions. Norton. Isaac White. And the interesting thing with Isaac White, he's one of those guys that will come into the game. He might hit his first 2 shots and he's going to stay out there and play 25 minutes. He might miss his first 2 and he might only play the 10 minutes in the game. That's his role.
Well, I would think this year he's got to, because of the talent and the depth that they have at the guard position, these guys coming off the bench, you got to make positive contributions. Otherwise, you got to come out of the game. They don't have enough margin for error to live with poor bench performances. They've got to get everything they can out of these bench guys to be able to compete in the competition.
Robinson, great pass to Aubrey. He's going to be an exciting prospect this year. Gets his first points of the ball game. Yeah, just a bit too handsy from Lee. The Bullets with an early 11-point lead, with the Hawks just hanging around. Of course, Tajir McCall to join us in a little bit and chat all things Taipans, Bullets, NBL, imports. Norton again looking to find Harrison. Can't have luck again there. Robinson pushes. Lee straight through the middle, back out. Blanchfield, that's his role this year. Can't get that one to drop. Blanchfield, another one left off the Wildcats roster this year, deactivated. Looking to find a new home with the Illawarra Hawks. Robinson, straight through, out of control through the middle. And right now, just not too much structure on the offensive end for the Hawks.
And I was going to say about 30 seconds ago that I really like.
As White gets a mismatch.
I really like some of the structure the Bullets have shown, and I don't know why they'd be reluctant to get into it, because it looks like what Schuller has created systematically is good. So they need to have the discipline to get into that stuff and execute it. The bigs were setting good screens, making contact, presenting opportunities. Then don't go away from that when it's working and getting good shots for you offensively.
Timeout here, and we'll chat with Kelsey Brown on the back end of this one. But your early thoughts so far, you just mentioned that the Bullets, good structure on offense, working through their systems. There's a clear offensive foul there, unlucky for Mitch Norton. It's a tough one to get away with. Maybe a little bit of accentuating it there on Robinson's end, but you know what, we talk about veteran savvy, he's got all of that. The Illawarra Hawks, your early estimation.
Well, I think Justin Robinson, you know, the anxiety that comes with getting back into the lineup in this arena, obviously he wants to impact well and maybe just a little bit sped up, but there's no doubt once he finds his rhythm and how they want to play, and look, playing a preseason game in Mildura is different than playing here at the Blitz.
Yeah.
Let's be real. there's it's a different context. There's a different energy to it, and there's different eyes on this, and that can bring, you know, a bit of nerves. And I'm very curious. This is my first look at him in person. He looks like a good physical specimen.
He looks to be just labouring a little bit, getting some
Yeah.
fitness.
Yes.
Some fitness under the belt.
Yes.
We've got to remember that it is preseason. We are awfully close. As you mentioned, game 1 is 8 days away of NBL 24.
It's tricky. It's really tricky. Like, you want these guys to be pressed without putting them in an adverse situation.
And Kelsey Brown, of course, just stalking the sidelines there. Wasn't brave enough to go in the Illawarra Hawks timeout. Was just roaming behind the Bullets there. What did you hear, Kels?
I was riding off the energy from this Bullets camp. They were up and about in that first time out. Out of the second one, Coach Schuler just said, let's take a breather. Let's let the ball do the work for us.
Coach Schuler, certainly one of the better coaches, and happy that he's finally got an opportunity at this level. Of course, he's done a lot of work with the juniors, and we can see that in his recruiting style. He's got a lot of juniors that he's played under, that he's coached under, whether that be in the junior national teams, Country Vic, all these sort of things. So he does have a connection to a lot of these rising stars coming through, and I think it's paid dividends in their recruitment.
But Kelsey's spot on, and right there you saw they went through their offense, but then Tyrell Harrison decides to go one-on-one. That's not what they're looking for. Certain players will have that scope to go one-on-one. Tyrell just needs to stay with it, get through the play, read the progressions, and keep that ball moving and make good decisions.
If you're wondering what that noise is, it's the sound of pen on clipboard as Rocco Zukarski's just subbed back into the game. The Scouts just begin to get up out of their seats and take notice as Albrook just takes it right through him there.
Yeah.
McDaniel.
That's it. Good offense.
It's
Move the ball. Don't try and be individually brilliant. There's no need for that. The game will present times for the right players to be individually brilliant.
The Brisbane Bullets looking fantastic on the offensive end, and sometimes the game can be so simple. Great job by Isaac White. The poise coming over the on-ball. You've got Rocco right in the middle, but you don't need to throw it at the big fella under pressure when you've got a guy that can shoot like John's in the corner.
And in that play there with Rocco's hard dive, he did the right thing, got contact on the pick, dove to the front of the rim, and then that freed up the defense. You gotta help on Rocco. We've seen what he does when he catches it.
He's a lob threat at all times, which is
and he doesn't mess around. He's flushing that thing quick.
And that's going to be the most exciting thing for me about Rocco developing through this year is the fact that he can catch these lobs. And a lot of guys haven't played with players that size. So once they learn, you know what, we don't have to pinpoint this pass to him. As he gets older, he gets more developed. He's going to be able to catch these, you know, almost passes that at times are unguardable. Norton rejects the screen through the side. Rejected by A.J. Johnson just after the foul.
And a great job by Mitch Norton there. And another little thing that players, especially younger players, need to understand, early in the game, run your sets per script. Don't look for counters early. Counters will present right there. Mitch Norton gets Rocco to come set the screen. His man jumps to the wrong way to the side of the screen. Mitch counters, goes left, gets himself on the line.
Well, two players in this ball game, in Todd Blanchfield and Mitch Norton. We mentioned, of course, played for the Wildcats last year, had those contracts deactivated at the end of the year. Of course, John Riley, a new coach coming in there over the last 2 years, looking to get his stamp on the roster, but they've both found homes at the Hawks and the Bullets. Albrook, who's been impressive so far, gets that one to fall.
Man, that gives you a lot of confidence when you see that guy get that ball off the glass and be able to finish with strength and touch, Felix, in the paint. And there's you know, I haven't heard anyone say anything bad about his prospects as we wind down this quarter. Rocco fumbles his second one of this quarter. I'm not sure the pass had the pop off the floor that it needed to make the big man's job easier in catching and finishing. Sometimes you got to do what I call a tall V-type bounce pass, and that's what was warranted right there. That thing's got to pop up off the floor. Peatling, nothing.
Sometimes we forget in the era of next stars and all these guys, as the great man Luke Kendall just rolls by. In the era of the next stars and stuff like that, you forget about some of the homegrown talent that we have here, like Lockie Olbrich, just at 19 years of age.
And at 19, out there carrying himself like he belongs. I'm not knocking it, because that's the way you should come in. You got to come in full of belief, confidence. Now, look, if you're not working, if you're not doing all the extra stuff, then that's just bluster. It's bluff, and you'll be found out. But if you're working on your game, working on your body, working on your mind, then you're going to be straight.
And that'll be quarter time. 25-16, the Brisbane Bullets lead this one. A good start from the Bullets on offense, of course, just the 25 points. Still room to improve there for both of these teams, but thus is the preseason. Well,
the Bullets were very good offensively, but much like Cairns in that first game, they had 8 turnovers. And Justin Sherwood will be like, guys, you know, this is something that we must address. 8 turnovers in 10 minutes, and yet they have 25 points. They're shooting 57% from the field.
Kelsey, of course, listening in to the Illawarra Hawks on this one. And we are going to be lucky enough to be joined by Cal Bruton as Jay Law. Everyone is in the house right now. It is the NBA Summer League right here, the NBL Summer League. It is all happening at the moment. We're going to have a chat at the moment to Cal Bruton, who's going to jump in and be able to chat with us. So we'll talk to Cal Bruton right now. Cal, grab the headset here. Actually, we'll chuck on J-Law real quick right now. If those who have followed on the internet, J-Law B-Ball. J-Law B-Ball, one of the best skills coaches in the country. One of the best skills coaches in the country, of course, out here doing work with Hoop City. J-Law, welcome.
Nice to see you again.
God,
Jordan, your voice sounds worse than mine. Finally, great to meet you.
This sounds beautiful compared to where I was yesterday. So this is
same boat.
Oh, I've been screaming.
Man, so you're out here, of course, doing some camps with Hoop City. You have worked with all the superstars that we've got. Of course, the one guy that I want to talk about that I've seen you working closely with was Alex Tui.
Yes.
Working out with Zach LaVine, of course, NBA superstar. And when you watch videos of these guys, it's the smoothness in the way that we play. Zach LaVine, he looks like he's got a ball on the string.
Yeah.
Alex Tui, after working a couple of weeks with you, appears to have that same sort of like ball on a string movement.
You know what? He got more confidence is what it was. And I think playing closely with Zach over that short span of time he was able to see like, hey, I'm not too far off for where I need to be. Obviously, he's a little bit more rigid and green, but there was a lot of great like things that come out of that. So, yeah, his confidence was beaming at the end of our couple of weeks of working together.
We'll just quickly check in with Kelsey Brown, who finally made her way over to the Illawarra Hawks. And I'll tell you what, Kelsey, they're not that scary. What did you find out back there?
No, it was actually okay being over here. Coach Jackomas, he was pretty intent on the defensive communication. He says it's lacking at the moment. And the most important thing coming out of this quarter break is stops in a row.
Well, they certainly need some. Down 25-16. We're joined right now by J-Law B-Ball, Jordan Lawley, who one of the best skills coaches in the country. He's had a huge amount to work with some of the superstars that we've brought up and just getting them to experience what that NBA level of workout is like. So you've worked with Alex Tui. Who else amongst maybe the next stars or the Australian juniors have you worked with?
Right here on the court, we have Tyler Harvey is one of our guys that we worked with. Isaac Lewis-White, one of our buddies that we work with. AJ Johnson as well. So I was actually with AJ when he was extremely young. He had his first dunk at my facility, so I'd like to say I was a part of that.
From what I've seen from AJ Johnson, that might have been at 2-3 years old.
Yeah, for real.
Believe it or not, it was like 14. So like late bloomer with it. I think it was like 13, 14, but incredible athletes. Obviously, I'm always extremely blessed to get Aussies in the gym and the Americans that come over here and get to experience an amazing game.
Isaac White, of course, the guy from the Brisbane Bullets that we penned in as the X factor. His scoring ability has just improved from when he
has.
left college to now.
It has.
It's come ways, and I think that, you know, he's in a pretty stacked Brisbane lineup at the moment. He was playing for the Jack Jumpers in Tasmania. Now's the year where he's going to get his opportunity. Where does his skill set lie for you?
No, I mean, he can shoot the piss out of the ball, and I think that's always been his major asset. And with anything with shooters, it's all about confidence and getting the opportunity to shoot and be able to kind of unleash his inner beast. And I feel like he didn't really get that early on in his NBL career. There were some restrictions, so now being able to play like full-minded, open, just to be able to shoot and let himself kind of go a bit is extremely huge.
And what do you got going on the Gold Coast? It's great to have you here. Obviously, you and I go back online.
Yes.
We share players.
We do.
What do you got planned here? What's going on? Tell us about it.
We're running a couple camps through Hoop City, and it's been one of our partners here out in Australia. So doing a couple camps. I actually brought a 5th grade team, a group of 10, 11, 12-year-olds that we're playing against Aussie competition. So we've had a couple of really good bouts, and Aussies have beaten up on us a bit, and I love that. I want that.
Yeah.
I want our Americans to experience, you know, the Aussie grit and the more we versus me, you know, like style of play. So it's been really, really awesome. So they're actually up here in the stands somewhere too. We have a few of our players here watching the game tonight just to see what really good basketball looks like.
Nice. Well, Jordan, we appreciate you joining us.
Dude, thank you so much.
Just quick, always,
I stumbled upon it. Let's get it. Nice to see y'all. Let's have some fun.
Love it. Thank you.
See you, J-Lo.
The Illawarra Hawks just looking to fight their way back into this one. Just a 9-point lead for the Brisbane Bullets. Make that 6 as we're about to get our man, Kel Bruton. Bruton Loggins. It's the Bruton Loggins Cup out here. I'll tell you what, the superstars are in the building right now. Cal, how you doing?
I'm good, Felix. How you doing?
Well, I'm seeing you about 3 or 4 times a day. Everywhere I walk, you're chatting to people, man.
That's
I
my role.
always used to say that Derek Rucker was the mayor of this town.
Nah, he still is.
There's
Yeah,
competition.
he still is. I've been long gone from here, like 35 years or something. But
Well-
at the end of the day, yeah, I'm always about the game. So, you know, to join you guys is a privilege.
What have you thought from what you've seen so far? Of course, it's an early look for most teams, but just in general, this Next Stars program and the state of the league at the moment.
State of the league is really good. I think everybody's excited. You have a lot of raw talent, but you also have a lot of athleticism in the league now, which you haven't been seen before. A few of those dunks on the top of someone's head, and that's been awesome to watch. And the Next Stars, I mean, you got Rocco here now today. You got the young kid AJ, you got Johnson. You have we haven't seen a great deal of Flowers, the 2 games that we've seen, but I think you got to bring them along. You got to trust that the progress is gradual and not rushing them into the bullpen because they got to grow. They're playing against the men. You know, this is a whole new ball game for them. Alex he's had a little taste of it as well. So, no, I think this Next Stars program is definitely a part of the future of Australian basketball, and it gives our young Australian players something to really aim for.
Shannon Scott caught up.
Illawarra Hawks, you're starting to lift the pressure a little bit, and Kelsey said that they were going to look to, stringing stops together was the way they want to get back into this ball game. They're certainly doing that.
Well, I mean, Cal, turnovers. I know you're a turnovers guy. Turnovers, and now the Bullets have got 10 of them.
Well, shoot, they can't catch up to the 36ers.
We're trying to glide you into that easy before we address the 36ers. But, I mean, this Bullets team, it looks like from early indications, if they get through their stuff, because I like the stuff that they're running. Sobey rips one. But if they just stay with the stuff and maintain patience and be persistent with the execution, they might be a little bit better than perhaps some people think.
I think it's important definitely not to beat yourself. And most of these teams that just really loose with the ball put themselves in a bad position to be able to take advantage of their fast pace. Seems like everybody's trying to play faster, get up and down the floor. And from my perspective, I think you got to play smart. And
I agree.
In order to graduate to the next level, you tell all the kids, you play hard, you play smart, and you play together. And too many guys are trying to, go off the bounce and do all, go into their bag and come out on the other end. Well, everyone else is picking their nose watching. So I think you got to pop that rock around a little bit more to really get the results you're after.
Of course, you're wearing the Bruton basketball camp T-shirt. How's that all going?
It's going very well. I'm about to release something, the biggest thing I've ever done in Australian basketball. It's about to come live and in color.
A country music single.
No, I wish I could be on The Bachelor though, but no, I got a beautiful girl, so I can't go there. But no, something that's going to rock the whole country. It's very exciting. I'm hoping to make the announcement in a couple weeks' time, where I think every person in Australia will
within
be
a basketball.
It's basketball related, totally. It's something that hasn't been done before. It's got a touch. I don't want to give too much away.
You got me excited here.
But I'm very excited, and I don't get excited about much. But my Bruton Basketball Foundation has been moving around the country for the last 44 years, really. But officially, in the last 2 years, I've set it up so the needle moves in every single state and territory. So that's what I've been about, trying to help the game grow from .1. And I'm looking forward to launching this, because I think it's something very, very special, and everyone would really want to come on board.
Nice. And Cal, you're a championship-winning coach. If there was one team out here in the NBL that they were like, Cal, we want you to come coach them, and you could pick it, who would you like?
Oh my goodness! Wow, that's a tough one.
It can't be Adelaide, obviously.
No, it couldn't be Adelaide. I would like to see a team come back in Canberra, and I would.
You're going outside. I like that. He's protecting.
Yep.
See, that's a
very
coach.
good.
That's a coach looking after every coach
There
in the
you
league.
go.
So
Very good.
There you go.
Like
I'm not going to go and put myself in no one else's job, but I can create it, and I know I can coach at this level. My goal would be to create an opportunity for all the young and up and coming next stars out of Canberra. Well, you got the Global Academy there. I got the COE there, the Center of Excellence.
Resources
Right there. I don't have to move.
Well, the interesting thing that when you say that is that in the past, the talent hasn't been, it's been, guys aren't strong enough. You couldn't have a team that could compete, but you look at just the size of some of the guys now. And if you bring guys over from the States who are already really developed and have such a high skill set, you could have a team. Now, you're not out there to win championships, but you're a team that's just going to be looking to compete and develop guys. It's a real possibility.
Well, you look at one of the things that the COE does really well, and it is develop your body. A.J. Johnson needs his body developed. Trenton Flowers needs his body developed. And, it makes a lot of sense. It kind of dovetails perfectly, right, Cal? Maybe you can make that happen. You need to make some calls when you get back to
That
Canberra.
could be the announcement coming. We never know.
We need a stadium, first and foremost. I think that's what Larry's been up there a few times talking with the government. They seem to think that, that could be a spot if the government comes to the party. And I think Larry's got all the other, ducks lined up. So, to me, the Canberra diehards would love that more than anything else. And it wouldn't be a problem with corporate backing, because they're just hanging out for our next generation of young kids to come through. And as you know, they all going to the U.S., playing their college basketball, being exposed to that sort of intensity levels, and to come back, they have to go play NBL 1 because there's not enough jobs available for them. So once we can get more teams, that'll open up that door.
The expansion is coming. You look at the Gold Coast right now, they're primed to have another team come in here. You look at the fans that have come out here. It's 3:30. This game started at 3:30 on a weekday.
Well, I mean, just look at the people who have lost jobs, like a Kyle Adnam.
Yeah.
He's not even in the league. And, the depth is there on both ends. So at the veteran end, we don't like to lose veterans. Yep, we want to promote the youth and all that. But the veterans bring something to the league also from a performance perspective. That's counting. It's got to be an N1 too. From a performance perspective, night in, night out. And they teach, like you taught me when I first came over here, Cal, even though we were on different teams. You were the head coach of Perth. You pulled me aside and were giving me life lessons. I was 23, stupid, just thinking I could do anything. And I still remember those lessons.
Well, you and Ricky Grace was two of my fads when I came. I said, next generation is well and truly here. And I was trying to make sure that my son CJ had a chance to look up to you guys and pick out the the nuggets that you guys provided. You know, you were MVP, Ricky was MVP of the finals. You know, I can relate to that, and I think the life lessons are important. You know, guys out here like these young next stars on their own without their folks. You know, they got to kind of navigate. So, you know, we got to look after the young kids. That's what helps the game grow.
Before we let you go and sit back on your cushy courtside seat, you get to enjoy the fruits of your labor a little bit. What's it like having a preseason championship named after you?
Man, that's been an absolute blessing. I remember when I first was offered the opportunity. It was supposed to be the Bruton Loggins Cup, but that's all right. You know, I love my boy Lee. He helped me win my first chip. And also, yeah, I remember when we actually sat down. I said, Leroy, what happened? I called you up to say, you know, it's the Bruton Loggins, if you come down with it. And then as soon as they announced it, turned out to be the Loggins Bruton. He said, I had nothing to do with it. I had nothing to do with it. Yeah. But he, you know, I mean, he's got the stature, you know, and that says it all right there. But I think it's a blessing for my family and I to have something entrenched. My only little disappointment here is that I haven't heard it live or across the airwaves. Somebody got to get the microphone and talk about it.
I'll tell you what, now that, what the master wants, the master gets. It's going to be spread far and wide.
And one last thing I like to say, I think the league is at a stage right now where some players, as you say, are on the bubble where they need to move. They need to open up the trades like the NBA.
Oh, yeah, we've been talking about that. You know, we've been talking about that in the past couple of years on the basketball show. Talking about trade scenarios and who would you move and so forth. Oh, boy.
Oh, that'd be fun. That'd really open up the Pandora's box right there.
Trade deadline of like December 1, right before Christmas. Get up out of here. That's your Christmas gift. It came a little bit earlier. You're going up out of here. We done seen enough of you getting 3 points and 2 rebounds. Bye-bye.
And we're getting the first-round draft pick for you next year because we worked the deal.
But the exciting thing with the NBL is, you know, the way that the league's growing, you never know. Eventually we could have a draft. Eventually we do have expansion teams in all these different cities that we talk about. That's the cool thing about this sport, that it just isn't slowing down.
And the NBL is doing a great job with innovation.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, like
yes.
the next star, like that was nothing, and the next stars came out, and now it's a worldwide phenomenon.
Larry Kesselman is certainly not just sitting here to rest on his laurels and say this is what he's got in the league too. You know, he's got all these ideas in mind.
He's a shaking and mover, man. That
he is
dude.
A mover
and you know
shaker.
what? Next week is his birthday, and so is mine. We're on the same day.
Yep.
So, Larry, if you're listening, happy pre-birthday to you.
And I'm going to see you up in Brisbane next week, Cal. We'll be talking during that game. It's the Brisbane Bulls versus the Adelaide 36ers. Everybody in Brisbane, go out, get your tickets.
Yeah, please come there live and in color and be on the show because it's going to be rocking. And I hope Adelaide be ready.
Can they get it together, Cal?
Well, right now they
kind of got an inside track on that. We don't want to probe too much, but
well, I said to CJ, you know, early in the piece, yo, man, you done won the Loggins Bruton Cup 3 years in a row. Let that go. So he's working to the plan,
maybe
that he can finish strong on the inside, you know, at the end. But yeah, I think they'll get it together. No ifs, ands, and buts about it. I never doubt my son. He knows the game inside out. He's working on getting the personnel right. And I think once he get all people on deck, you know, obviously missing Trey Kell, he's been a key addition to their crew. And not having Wiley there as well, you know, that kind of makes it difficult to kind of get everybody in the sync.
Yes.
But I have no doubt that Adelaide will be there when the chips are counted.
Love it. Thanks, Cal.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me, fellas. Appreciate you. And all the fans, stay tuned. It's going to be hot.
I think we just found our new promo. Oh, he's a superstar. He's playing days, coaching days, but still now in his commentary days.
Fantastic. And, you know, if there's any person who lives the life of every moment matters, it's Cal Bruton.
Wong Jung Lee at the line.
Davidson College, shout out.
Sam Menega, of course, from Cairns as well.
Yes.
Is a Davidson product.
Yes. Played very well, Sam Menega.
He's good. Good. He's one of those guys where you look at him and you think, oh, there must be AFL scouts just waiting to get this guy on the forward line somewhere. He is a big, big body.
And Lee is obviously a product of the NBA Global Academy in Canberra. Came down before going to Davidson College. Had an outstanding stint there. He's active, 6'6", 6'7". Excellent shooter, highly intelligent. He'll be a good addition for the Hawks. DJ Mitchell is getting his today. That's 13 points out of very efficient 63%.
Aaron Baines just loses a shoe. We hope nothing more to that.
Those got to be 17s, 18s. That's a big boot right there.
That is a big man. I'll tell you what, he's looking fit this year. There were times last year where you could see that he was coming off injury, but he is looking fit. That touch is going to come back, and I do think from what we've seen so far that Aaron Baines is going to be a force, especially on the defensive end.
And he hadn't played in the NBL before. And learning this league, you know, as I've addressed a few times, it takes a minute. I don't care what level you've played at.
The Hawks doing a good job of just hanging around. They've been able to eat into this margin ever so slightly in the second quarter as Isaac White just runs into trouble at the top of the key. Smith deep into the paint. The great pass off to Tyrell Harrison, who's just struggled with his hands at the moment, of course, coming off a minor injury, just looking to get that touch back as well. As Gary Clark gets deep into the paint, and he'll get to the free throw line.
And Clark is someone who hasn't been able to be too productive thus far here at the NBL Blitz. The Hawks had high praise for him coming into the event. I spoke with a couple members of the Hawks organization, and they expected him to have a real impact. Quite hasn't happened yet. Obviously, this is less important than what's to transpire.
But you'd still like to, as much as we hop on and on.
I'd like my appetizer to taste nice.
Yeah, that's a fantastic analogy.
It's not the main deal. I can get it.
Yeah.
I can get by if it's not great.
Hey, I'm here for the Parma, but if that garlic bread comes out too crispy, I'm not going to be happy. And it might even ruin my meal.
So, it's one to watch.
Great pass by Scott there. Harrison's had a little bit of trouble catching those drop-off passes, but no trouble. Looking like a wide receiver with a quarterback. Robinson with the 7 points this half. Cleaned up by Harrison, but again, the Hawks will get to the free throw line.
And he showed right there what he's got. Got the mismatch and made a nice, tight, and quick move to put Harrison in a bad situation and draw a foul. And he's just got to find the balance between going for his, running the offense, making sure Harvey is getting the shots he needs. And once he works out that balance and that equation, gets a little bit more conditioning, as we touched on before, Felix, he's going to be a real problem.
Harvey, who you just spoke of, just with the 6 points so far in this game, but of course led the scoring, led the entire NCAA in scoring in his year, one of his years at Eastern Washington University, of course. Holds a record for fourth quarter threes in the G League, so he can light it up, and I just don't think we've seen him explode into one of those games so far.
And that's saying a lot, because he's had a very good career here thus far.
Scott gets around with a hard screen from Isaac White. He's going to get it back. Kicks it back to Scott. He gets that one to fall.
A good basketball play by Isaac White. Read what was happening, fast processing.
And that right there is Tyler Harvey. That's a shot. You can guard that on-ball screen as well as you want. There comes a point where offense is just better than defense. And that's what you find there. That's the sort of shot that Tyler Harvey can get himself to. And he can get you out of jail quick with those type of shots.
And this is what I talked about coming into this game. 2 potential game winners in your backcourt, night in, night out. Is hard to game plan against and is always going to pose a threat. And with those 2 guys out there, if they can find the rhythm and the chemistry of playing together, it could be a surprisingly exciting season down in the Gong, Felix.
Tell you what, they pack it out. They get the Zorba music playing. It sounds like a Greek wedding at times in there. It's certainly a great atmosphere. And, you know, there's some of the teams in the NBL. We talk about your Melbourne United, your Perth Wildcats, your Blue Bloods.
Yeah.
Man, those games out there in the Gong, they're rough and rowdy. What was some of the trash talking that you copped over the sidelines in your time?
Well,
I know you certainly were giving it back.
Yeah, well, I mean, you know, playing down in Wollongong at the Snake Pit was a nightmare. Dudes are shaking the baskets. The one basket used to be connected to the bar, and I don't think that would fly nowadays.
No. I think the league exists at a level of professionalism where they're maybe not connecting it to the establishment. Our lady on the ground, Kelsey Brown, has it all working over there. And I'll tell you what, the Brisbane Bullets just get no love these days. She's all about the trailer in the Hawks. They've been fighting back into this game, and they've had a pretty good quarter, Kels.
Yeah, I might bet you over to the Bullets next time because Jacobus is sounding a little bit like a broken record. He said there is no intensity on closing out those shots, and that's where they're losing the game.
Certainly a coach killer when you mention the same thing over and over again in timeouts and you don't get a reaction. Lockie Olbrich gets to the line, awfully impressed. There's a lot of things I've been impressed about, and he maybe hasn't had, you know, major production, but just the way he moves as a 19-year-old, incredibly impressive.
Now, I got a message from someone. I'm not going to say who it is, but he said I can screenshot this. So I'm going to assume that doesn't mean I can expose who it is, but he said Lockie is not only going to be an NBA player, he'll be a starting forward for the Boomers.
Man, and you know what? I think you're right on, because he is arguably the person that I'm most impressed by at this Blitz.
Good physique. He's
just
aware.
Strong,
he's
strong
active.
body. But he's active, and you know, and it's stuff like that. It's the way you mentioned before, and I think you hit the nail on the head. You said it's not necessarily about size, physicality, how skilled you are. It's the way you carry yourself as I belong in this league. And right now, Lockie Olbrich's rolling around there. You look at just the strength of the man, but he's rolling around like he belongs. He's pushing guys. There is no fear whatsoever in the way that he plays the game at the moment. And
yeah, he's like offended that you're challenging his youth.
Yeah, you're challenging him. And I'm sure that he sits there and he watches all this talk of next stars, all this talk of the guys in college. And he's just sitting there saying, you know what? Wait till you see me bump and bang out there.
You know, that's a great point, because that next stars creates a good form of animosity and resentment amongst those young kids that haven't received that opportunity. And that just lifts levels. That makes everybody play harder.
Robinson,
hello.
Aerobatic finish in transition.
Wait a minute. I told you he had something. I told everybody he had something.
He's tough. A great finish there by Justin Robinson, who's announcing himself. 11 points in this first half, and he's been the catalyst to a bit of an Illawarra Hawks fight back.
Do they have 2 lefties in the backcourt?
I think that's illegal. I think that's against the rules.
I better be quiet with great Leroy Loggins next to me. I better stop talking about lefties.
Want to make it a third? Throw one in the front court, Leroy.
Because his left hand bailed me out of a lot of situations.
Of course, just sitting next to the commentary box here, the great Leroy Loggins and Cal Brute, who this preseason championship is named after.
Shannon Scott, very reliable, sensible, fundamentally strong basketball player. Got a little bit of CP3 about him.
Scott and Olbrich just active down low as well. You look at that. He's Swakalo Bullock. Back to the man who's led this fight back. Just a 5-point game now. Got as high as 13. Harvey can light it up from outside. They'll need all of that.
Good pass.
Gets it to the man in question in Albrook, who just pushes through. Too strong for Tyrell Harrison. Switches hands in the air and gets the right hand finish and continues to put on a very, very good performance in front of some very influential people who he ought to be impressing.
9 points in this first half, and that move right there was mature. He understands tempo. He understands timing with his body.
Harrison pulls down the O-ball, gives it away to Mason Peatling. A wrestle on the ground. Scott comes up. Harrison goes upstairs. Can't get it to flush.
A lot of activity and possibly
Swackalo Bullock on the ground here. Looks to have just copped a hit in the air, but Tyrell Harrison, he's had trouble so far getting those up and under passes. But he was in full control of that. And fortunately for the Illawarra Hawks defenders there, where they were not put on a poster, and we hope that Swackalo Bullock is okay on that.
Well, it looks like a collarbone situation without going too early, but up around the shoulders. And they're going to look at it maybe to see if there was extension as Harrison elevated.
Okay?
Of course,
With the elbow coming out for it. I don't know. James had a defensive foul. James called a defensive foul. Mark Mill has an offensive foul. Okay. Millsy. So do you have an offensive foul?
I do.
He does. Okay. So
I didn't blow the whistle.
No, that's okay. But Mark's got an offensive foul.
Yep.
What have you got?
Well, I had the foul initial contact like on his arms.
Yeah. Okay. I reckon we got an offensive foul. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Well, that was interesting. I like listening to that. I was mesmerized by the conversation.
Well, it's fantastic, the access that we get to the officials during challenges and reviews. And right there,
So Millsy's going to win.
Tyrell Harrison whistled for the offensive foul. And now I'll tell you what, I'm going to ask you this question, Derek Rucker. If he made that dunk, are we going to the review system? Or are the refs throwing that whistle away and just saying highlight?
I think we still would have gone because I think Mills was adamant with what he saw. The crowd was going to go nuts.
That was, well, it's almost lucky you missed there because that would have been a highlight
Yeah.
taken away. But good to see Tyrell Harrison there, aggressive. Harvey. Minute and a half left in this first half. 3-point lead, got as high as 13. For the Brisbane Bullets, but the Hawks have fought their way back in. Can't get that to fall, but Chris Smith will pick up the foul.
And even right there, Albrook commits a foul, but it was a good foul because you're taking some bodies down with you. You're making them feel you physically.
Man, he's so active on defense as well. And when you talk about a guy in that forward position, almost one of the most pivotal talkers on the defense. They're always on that back line. They're the guys you need to be loud. You need them to be hustling. The amount of times we saw him there with his jersey wrapped up and someone else having to grab it because he'd gotten into the right position.
Yes.
They've got a special one in Lockie Albrook. Just a bit of love there from Aaron Baines from the crowd. He gives a nod of the head. And I spoke on the Saturday game, but the one thing that I think was so special last year for the Brisbane Bullets was even through all the turmoil that they went through, 3 coaches in 3 weeks, inconsistent roster on the floor, losing games by big margins, they still managed to sell out games. And we see the support they've got here today. It's you know, a 3:30 game on a weekday. Very tough to get to for a lot of people with work, but they're all out here. They're loud, supportive. It's a fantastic fan base.
It is, and news for you, it's very hard to get a seat for the rest of the season. Advanced sales have been outstanding this offseason. So if you want to see some good basketball in a great venue in Nissan Arena with a team that looks much improved, more disciplined, more organized, Get on ticketed.com.au. Hit the Bullets website up. Get some seats. You know
And
what
of
I'm
course,
saying?
the same goes for the Illawarra Hawks as well. We mentioned the Snake Pit was a tough place. Well, the Snake Pit over in the Gong is a tough place to play. The reason it's tough is because they packed that place out.
Baines just looks a lot more settled this year.
Well, this is the first year that we're actually seeing as Mason Peatling gets it on the nice little dish off there from Justin Robinson. 24 seconds left in this first half. The Bullets with a 4-point lead, as high as 13, as I mentioned. The Illawarra Hawks with a strong fight back here, just as Jacobus was asking. White pulls up from outside, can't get that to fall. Peatling, and the Hawks will get one last look at it. Robinson can't get that to fall. It'll be a 4-point lead for the Brisbane Bullets going into the first half. Derek Rucker, your thoughts?
Very good first half. The Bullets looked after the ball better in the second quarter. Still got 13 turnovers in the first half. That will drive Coach Justin Schuler crazy. But there's an absolute demolition going on the rebound. The Bullets are leading that by 15. That's the primary reason that they've been able to hold on to this narrow lead going into the halftime break.
And among the Illawarra Hawks, I'm sitting there thinking we've been beaten on the rebounds by 15 and we're still in this as a 4-point game. But the preseason, the best part of it, there's learnings on both sides of the floor and both teams have plenty to take out of the first half. We'll momentarily have a look at the highlights. But for a moment, we will just throw to a little break and we'll catch up with you shortly.
Our game is made for moments. We stop at nothing, on or off the court, here and abroad. Every fan, every game, every experience. From game-winning buzzer beaters to posterizing dunks. The immeasurable passion and fierce rivalries. Every legacy, every team, and the strive for greatness. No matter the moment, it all matters to us. Hungry Jacks NBL. Every moment matters.
Supercoach NBL is here. You've never seen fantasy basketball like this. Stop dribbling, start playing. Play the official fantasy NBL game at supercoach.com.au.
Don't miss a moment of NBL action. On the court, away from the court, exclusive access, player interviews, free agency moves, next stars, and much more. The NBL's YouTube channel is your one-stop shop for all things NBL 24. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button to find out all the latest news as it happens. Search NBL on YouTube to get watching.
Welcome back to the Gold Coast Convention and Exhibition Centre. We'll check out some of the highlights of that first half. A Brisbane 4-point lead over the Illawarra Hawks. Bain has been not exactly on fire, but he's been getting a little bit back to his old self. Strong on the defensive end. He's looking fit, of course, coming off a serious spinal injury during the Tokyo Olympics. It's great to see him back there. DJ Mitchell, of course, another one firing for the Brisbane Bullets. Scott's been impressive. For the Illawarra Hawks, Robinson with 12. Some aerobatic plays so far has been very, very strong. Swakalo Bullock, a little injury scare there, but he's now fine. And Lockie Ulbrich has been the shining light for the Illawarra Hawks, who managed to fight themselves back into this game, albeit being out-rebounded by 15 at the halftime brace. We haven't seen too much of Rocco Zakarski. Just came out there for a couple of minutes, of course, just nursing a small ankle injury, but it shows you how much he wants to get out there on the floor. He could easily just wrap this one up, chuck the ice on, and rest out the rest of the Blitz, but he wants to be out there developing. He is just so young at 17 years old. the next star, one of the most impressive next stars. Of course, AJ Mitchell, another guy through that next stars program. But right now I mentioned Lockie Ulbrich has been that shining light for the Illawarra Hawks. Only 19 years old, and Derek Rucker, who's going to join me again in a moment, mentioned that, you know, these guys come out here with a bit of a chip on the shoulder when they see the next stars sign on all of these young guys. But a guy like Lockie Ulbrich, he hears that talk. He hears all the talk of the Giddies of the world and all these other superstar youngsters. And I think that he's going to be right up there when all's said and done, and could be the breakout player of this NBL season. Tyrell Harrison there, of course, almost had the highlight of the game, albeit an offensive foul. Couldn't get that one to fall. But we've got all the action of the second half coming up next. We'll just cut to a quick break.
LaMelo Ball, Josh Giddey, Usman Jeng. The NBL's Next Stars program has become an elite pathway to the NBA. But who's got next in NBL 24? Hook Porty, Flowers, Johnson, Quintman, Rube Starvicius, Saar, Tui, Zakarski. Who will shine brightest? Find out more at nbl.com.au/nextstars.
If you like good weather, good food, good vibes, it's everything all in one.
First shot gotta go in. Camera doesn't know where the ball went. Would they say I'm a good golfer? I'd say I'm better than the average person, but I'm not a good golfer. There's never not anything to do. Like, we got Top Golf here, there's Movie World right across the road, plenty of beaches in the Gold Coast, unlimited restaurants. The Gold Coast is super nice and you can't really complain about anything out here. And there's a heat check right here. Bow! There it goes, right there, side by side.
Welcome back to the Gold Coast Convention and Exhibition Centre. It's a 4-point lead for the Brisbane Bullets against the Illawarra Hawks. Plenty of highlights in that first half for Kels. You were behind each and every time out. I think you were favouring the Illawarra Hawks a little bit, but what did you think of the first half?
Yeah, I thought the first half was an impressive display. I think the only injury concern we had out of that first one was Wani, that throat chop. I spoke to the medicos. He seems fine to go for the second half. But overall, a really good start.
Fantastic start so far, and you'll be hunting the news stories as we go on. But of course, as you said, Wani copped a throat chop, which I believe is the correct medical diagnosis there in the Tyrell Harrison Duncan tent. That would have been a highlight, but it's glad to see that he's okay. And we'll catch up with Kels a little bit later here as well. But Derek Rucker, we spoke to Kel Bruton in the first half, and now we're about to speak to Leroy Loggins a little bit later once he gets back around here. But what do you need to see from the Illawarra Hawks in the second half?
Probably just a little bit more continued development on their cohesion as an outfit on both ends. I think they need to be better defensively throughout the season if they don't want to be in that bottom three. And I'm not talking about bottom third. I'm talking about bottom three teams. Some way they're going to have to differentiate themselves from anyone else who might be in that contention. And I think especially at home, if they can really be stingy on the defensive end, and you know, like they're not doing too bad today, but the Bullets are still shooting at 48%. I think, you know, if Illawarra can get teams down to the low 40s and then really make it tough to defend them on the other end, okay, now we're dealing with the recipe where we might be, you know, in that play-in range.
Certainly an improved second quarter from the Illawarra Hawks. The Brisbane Bullets?
Brisbane, I thought, let's take away the turnovers. I thought they looked really disciplined, much more organized or better organized than they have in the past 2 or 3 seasons. Baines obviously looks like a different person this season, but I think a lot of it is attributed to just having that import point guard out there, Felix. Shannon Scott, we saw what he could do at times last season with the Taipans. He's a steadying influence. He has a good feel for the game. Look, he's the son of a pro. He knows what time it is.
Shannon Scott certainly what they needed. I think it gives Nathan Sobey a little bit more chance to just play off the ball and not be forced into that point guard role because he's such an elite scorer.
And not feeling like he has to do so much. And Nathan's such a gifted athlete. It's easy for him to try to do a lot. But you just want him to play with a little bit more efficiency this season.
Sam Froling gets deep into the paint against the man that we just spoke of in Aaron Baines.
That was a nice shot because that was good, solid defensive positioning.
Bayless here, of course, coming from the Sydney Kings. He was aggressive the last outing for the Illawarra Hawks. Did a great job getting to the rim. A few things he's got to work on in his game, but I think he's an exciting young talent.
I did a bit of work with Wally Bales in the offseason and got a lot of talent. Blood runs hot.
Sobey deep into the paint there, draws the foul. And as you mentioned, that's where Sobey's at his best. Occasionally he can bring the ball down, but just get into those spots, get into the wing, using his speed, attack mentality first.
And with Bale starting the second half, you would presume that Robinson, it's a wrap for him.
Robinson, who's certainly still beyond a minutes restriction.
He had a good first half.
And such is the preseason. Once you've seen enough from a known commodity, you don't really need to see too much. And also, as you mentioned,
did you see enough? Did you see enough?
I saw enough from Robinson to be confident that he's going to be in 8 days' time exactly where he needs to be.
I agree. But if you're a knucklehead, maybe you put him back out there and you think like, oh, I haven't seen enough. No.
Because the thing that we have to remember as well is that these teams and coaches, when you talk about players that they might have a couple of bad games, as Clark with a nice little up and under, just can't finish for the second time getting down there. He's had 2 nice moves for 0-2. DJ Mitchell down the other way. Scott Looks to reject the screen, finds Mitchell again. Gets the nice step back. The backspin was perfect with the finish. Just can't get it to go. But as I was saying, Derek, Sam Froling gets that one to fall. The coaches, they've had a lot of practice under the belt before these games have come about. Now, I know it's different, as you say, when the bright lights come on. But why we always stress it is very, very difficult to judge a player based on these games. Now, 3 games is a decent sample size. But you still can't roll with that as your only prediction of these players.
I agree.
Clark. Again, 0 of 3 in the early going of this first half. Just a bit of a lid on the rim.
And on all of those shots that he's attempted, they're not even straight. That one flares out to his right. The bank shot on the previous attempt kind of got caught in between. Looked like he didn't know if he wanted to bank it or go straight in. And that's just a sign, perhaps, of a little bit of loss of belief.
Again, just a tough start for the Hawks as Bales turns it over straight to Scott. Does not get much easier than that for the Bullets. Harvey with the 9 points. Smith pushes the pace, big body in transition, too big for Bales. 6-point lead to the Bullets. They came into the half with 4.
And when you're doing development work with players, you always want your guards and your perimeter guys to be able to make plays one-on-one. Can you get your hips by the defender's hips? Can you shift the defender to create separation for yourself with a potential counter move? And we saw a series of nice moves right there from Chris Smith in transition. He winds up moving to his left and hitting a little flip shot. The Bullets on a mini run to extend this lead out to 6 points. Hawks falling prey to turnovers to start off this second quarter.
Our officials tonight, Mitch Hare, James Boyer and Mark Mill. Of course, the referees also in pre-season in this one. We've seen a couple of challenges and reviews. And
of course, that's what it's here for. That's why we're here, Fields, to get some burn, get some run.
If only the burn wasn't deep in my throat, I'd be
well,
a
you know,
easier.
Our vocal cords weren't used to it. And we'll come back stronger for the performance, Felix.
Stronger for the run. Stronger for the run. No, it's all nice and casual here at the NBL Blitz. And we mentioned before, it's a very NBA Summer League style vibe. And I think it's added to it this year with the strength of the Next Stars program. We've got NBA scouts littering the building.
If you've said you had a bad time thus far here, you're either a liar or you don't know what life's about. Oh, my God.
And that's 3 times this half, in this third quarter, that Clark's used his body and gotten right deep in the rim. Now, he hasn't got the finishes.
Now, I don't know if Johns was trying to take a charge there, but if he was, this was one of the most unrealistic attempts. Oh, my. That's just not good basketball, Johns. Come on, Matt. Stay up.
Matt Johns, another guy we've seen in the league, Reese Vague with a bit of a patchwork tattoo vibe that he's got going, and Matt Johns just working on the one leg there.
Well, I'll tell you what Matt Johns can do is be athletic. Sensational athlete. Pop.
He was a guy that went to the Boomers camps as a kid, being a bit of a development player within those spaces. So he does have a lot of potential.
And they're just hoping that conceptually he learns the game better, continues to develop his shot, and then when all those things align, in a couple of years, he might be someone that they can play. But the mere fact, you get an 8-second violation. The mere fact that they're putting him out here and trying to see, can he play at all at this level, is a good sign for him.
Yeah. Shannon Scott just whistled for the push-off there. Wasn't too happy with the call.
Point of emphasis, Felix. You got to keep, you can't be extending that arm out.
Well, as you said, the referees did say that a point of emphasis this year is those offensive fouls where guys are driving in for a layup and they whack the other defender's arms away. It's going to be something referees and the officials attempt to crack down on as Gary Clark finally gets one to fall. And isn't Derek Rucker excited?
Nice. Hey, I'm happy that he got one to fall, but that wasn't very convincing. And I'm sure he's probably so delighted to see one go in.
Sometimes that's all you need.
That's all you need. And now what?
He draws the foul there. He's going to get himself to the free throw line. Clark starting to work his way into his ball game, which would be a welcome sign for the Illawarra Hawks fans.
Here's a move, getting offense.
And looks like he's got the intent to go through the younger Matt Johns there.
A nice little Euro there. I wasn't sure about the choice of hands to finish the shot with. I thought maybe an inside little underhand shot would have been the choice, but he created the contact, and now he'll go to the line to shoot two. Hawks need some conversion here. Don't let the bullets off the hook. Keep the pressure on them.
Matt Johns picks up his fourth foul in the process. He'll have a date with the Pine.
Bullets a little bit confused about who's taking that ball out.
Just a one-point game over. It looked like the Bullets had a stranglehold on it in the first quarter. The Hawks have been able to put in a good showing since. It's AJ Mitchell, the next star, looks to sub in with Wong Jung Lee. Baines from the outside gets that to fall. He leads all scorers with 15. And the Baines of old starting to show himself in the second outing in the Blitz. That'll be a charge, a blocking call from the official there. He had a better view on it than I did.
Must have been a foot in the restricted area. That's all I can imagine, because it certainly looked like time wasn't a factor. I think that's a charge. Oh,
no, moving in the last second. It looks like a good call from the official. And
they would like to challenge that call. What do you have?
I got a block.
And
outside the centre circle, just late to the spot.
Late to the spot block.
Late to the spot, and I think you'll find that the referee is going to be correct on that one. Just a little bit late to the spot. But you know what?
He has outside the circle, late to the spot block.
You're going to get your bad challenges. You're better off getting them out of the way early.
That's a close one, though. It's not obvious. Oh, that little shift, it is obvious.
Yeah, I think just a little bit too obvious. But I mentioned on Aaron Baines, we're finally starting to see that Aaron Baines of old. He's been great on the defensive end, and he's been great on the offensive end. Playing his way into this ball game. It's probably, if you went to the Blitz and you could say, what's one takeaway for the Brisbane Bullets? Aaron Baines is going to be back to his old self. I reckon Justin Schuler would have taken it any day of the week.
Yeah.
And he's got 15 points, 11 rebounds on only 7 field goal attempts. Very efficient.
13 offensive foul. Okay, so the challenge is successful.
See, Derek, always go with your gut.
Canceled. It's turned into an offensive foul on Illawarra 13.
You know what, Mitch Hare is one of the better officials in this league, so I'm going to roll with that, and he's definitely correct. But
well, the legendary Scott Butler is over there overseeing everything, and if he says it was a charge, I'm going to go with him over my own beliefs.
Offensive foul, Mitch Hare just giving us the confirmation there. And the extended pressure from the Illawarra Hawks. AJ Johnson just comes up with the deflection off DJ Mitchell's leg.
That's good play right there by Johnson. Just staying active and trying to be a nuisance.
AJ Johnson with a good pass and an even better finish from Sam Froling.
Nice little plays there from AJ Johnson defensively. create an opportunity and then came and did his thing with the ball.
Baines down low again, adds to his tally. 17 points for the big man, 11 rebounds, and about 7 bone-rattling screens.
True. Oh,
Harvey wide open on the outside, missed by Froling, manages to get it back eventually, finds its target. He'll say, no, I'm going inside, and gets that to roll.
yeah, well, the bucket came a little bit later than I'm sure he would have liked, but it happened nevertheless, and this is a really good game, Felix.
DJ Mitchell knocks that down. Kels, what have you got for us?
I want to raise Dan Greeter's name. He played some valuable minutes in their first game, 14 of them. We haven't seen him yet today. I want to ask Derek, are you surprised?
Well, given the injury problems that he's had over the past 3 to 4 seasons, Felix, it seems like it's just been a constant case of misfortune. Perhaps they're just being really conservative with him, but I'm sure Daniel probably, despite everything that he's experienced, I'm sure he wants to get out there and play. He looked nice and poppy the other day, Felix, and looked really healthy. I would have thought maybe they were just giving him 10 minutes just to get that run through his body and to make sure that he keeps the mobility going, and then he can come out and continue to work in rehab or whatever it is. But Dan Greeter is someone who can be a difference maker with his athleticism and his physical attributes.
He certainly is. And Kels, I also want you to get a look at the footwear that Dan Greeter might be wearing. The Flaming Hot TNs are a bold statement on the sideline there. We'll catch up with Kels in a moment. But once again, royalty joins the panel. Leroy Loggins, welcome.
Thank you, I appreciate it.
Now, of course, Cal was over here saying it should have been the Bruton Loggins Cup, but you were in there fighting. You said, there is no way I'm putting my name on something if I ain't first. Is that true?
No. and to be quite honest, I said I don't mind, even mind if they call it the Bruton Loggins Cup, because Cal was here. Cal was here before me, so.
I want to get your thoughts on, we spoke to Cal about the state of the league right now. Like, you were around in some of the glory days of the NBL, selling out stadiums. Then, of course, there was an obvious dip after that for a while. Now we're back to what is a really special time for the league.
Yeah, I mean, it looks good now. You got quality players coming out. I think the Australian basketball talent has improved enormously. You got players coming back from college. So, I mean, it's a good look for Australia. I think it looks good for TV. Yeah, I'm digging it.
What about the next stars?
The next star, there have been some really nice next stars coming out. I think the first group that they had come out, they're playing in some of them are playing in the NBA now. So, yeah, I think it's a good thing for your young kids to come out and get a taste of what grown men basketball is about.
Now, we always hear that there's talk of a certain import of the Perth Wildcats, Bryce Cotton, who's, people say the greatest import of all time. Oh, and I think I know the reaction we might get. Now, this is no disrespect to Bryce Cotton, of course, in any of this sort of chatter. He's an amazing player, but do you have anything to say about that when people say Bryce Cotton's the best ever?
No, I'll just say good luck to the brother, man. Just keep doing what he's doing, man. He's got a nice game. He's very talented. And he's very competitive. So I take my hat off to Bryce Cotton, man.
Leroy, you must be happy with what you see with this Bullets team and the change. Now, I'm going a little bit early, but there does seem to be a change in the way they play and their just overall approach. I saw you at some games last year. It was semi-disastrous.
Of course, it was a bad year for the Bullets. Everyone knows that, but thank God they made some changes, brought in a new coach, a new group of players, and yeah, we'll see how they go.
What do you like from what you're seeing in today's game?
I like the big men, Harrison, Big Rocco, Baines. So they got a nice rotation of big men. And, they brought someone like Sam McKinnon in to play D. Yeah, I'm digging what I'm seeing, man. And DJ, he's like a polyfiller, man. He comes in and does a great job for us.
And I think you were referring to Sam McDaniel, Wayne's Wayne's young fellow who might get,
might get a shot block.
Yeah. Yeah, but you can definitely see a different pop and an energy on this team, particularly on the defensive end.
Of course.
And, that's probably one of the areas where your game has been underappreciated as the time separates from your last game to now. People don't realize, Leroy, what a defensive presence you were.
Well, you know what, Derek? I base my game on defense.
Yes.
I said if I can play good defense, the rest will come. So I knew I could score when I wanted to, but I just wanted to do the hard yards because when I was growing up as a young kid, I was real skinny. So
you were?
Yeah, and the only yeah, I was. Unfortunately, we didn't have a lot of food in our house. But I just based my game on D because I thought that was the only way I could make a basketball team.
Yep.
And it worked for me a lot. So, and I had some great coaches that taught me some great stuff defensively, and I just kept building on that, man, and just go 120 every day, man. You can't lose.
It's and this event here, Leroy, it's been great. I mean, it's a chance for so many of us to catch up again, and it's a bit of obviously the next stars and the young players and the teams, but for so many of us on the periphery, we get a chance to interact with people. I've seen people I haven't seen for 20 years, and to be able to, have a drink with them and talk the game and see what they've been up to, because you and I really haven't had, even though we live in the same city, I realistically haven't seen you for about a good 5 years.
Yeah, and unfortunately, we all get older and we go our separate ways and we do our things, but like you say, it's always great to catch up, whether it's at a basketball game or, whatever. But, yeah, the memories always come back, man.
They do.
I was just talking to Dre not long ago on the phone, Andre Moore. Coming down on Friday, so hopefully I can get back here on Friday and see the Bullets opener.
And Leroy, if you had to pick any season where it was your most enjoyable, it doesn't have to be personal, it doesn't have to be an MVP award winning or championship. What was your most enjoyable season as a pro?
I had two, actually.
Oh, okay.
I had two. West LA Bearcats. We just got inducted into the South Australia Hall of Fame, and the '87 Bullets. We won a championship there, but that group of guys was very special, man. Ronnie the Rat, Larry Sistock, Danny Moore, Sue, the list goes on, mate.
And of course, coached by the one and the only
Brian Curl.
Brian Curl, who is responsible for both of our existences here.
Exactly.
Exactly. The number of people's lives that Brian Curl has touched, not only here in Southeast Queensland as Albrecht, continue to show why he is going to be a legitimate candidate for Rookie of the Year or the next gen.
Man, he is. Lockie Albrecht has been the most impressive thing I've seen at the Blitz so far. Now, before we let you get back to watching the game, some players go off, when your life has been basketball, sometimes you go off, pay a huge amount of attention to the weeks, the ins and outs of the league. How much attention do you pay to the NBL on a weekly basis in terms of watching games and all of that sort of stuff?
Every week I'm tuned in, man.
this dude right here is a baller.
Every week I'm tuned in, man. I watch it religiously, man. So I can't make all the games, but at least I can turn the TV on. And if I don't like what I see, I can turn it on.
Well, Felix has probably got 12 TVs in that house of his. Any room he walks to, he can easily see what's going on. Sorry, Lee.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, Leroy Loggins, thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it.
Lee, always great to have you, my brother.
No worries, Dirk.
You're the man.
Leroy Loggins, another NBL legend. Here in the Illawarra Hawks have turned what was once a 13-point deficit into a 5-point lead, a minute 20 to go. Of course, the Bullets at the free throw line. But an awfully good run. And Lockie Albrecht has just continued. I don't want to sound like a broken record and continually sing the one player's praises, but I don't think I can be any more complimentary of what we've seen from him here today.
Some guys just
and you
get
can
it.
throw,
They get it.
You can throw the stat sheet out. It's the way that he handles himself on the court, the way that he hustles on defense.
Yep.
Oh, Sobey throws it up to Zakarski. No luck there as they get used to playing with a guy of that size. But they're looking for it. Davo Hickey again down to Ulbrich against a much bigger Zakarski. And right now, Ulbrich's having his way with Zakarski down the bottom. That's 6 points. Directly on him, of course, a fair age difference between the two.
Yeah, well,
Zakarski catches it upstairs and puts it in, and that's the sort of stuff that the Bullets are going to be looking to do because that is a very, very tough guard.
Ulbrich with 20 points at a very efficient 90% from the field. Wow. Wow.
He's having a breakout showing.
And the Bullets' turnovers continue to haunt them. They're up to 20 now, Fields, compared to 7 for the Hawks.
And Nathan Sobey's going to get whistled for a technical here, the Hawks. Well, they've got control of this basketball game. Nathan Sobey, I believe, just a verbal technical there. Justin Schuler and the Bullets not happy about it. But usually in those situations, the technical's there for a reason. It was Nathan Sobey just chatting away there and was whistled. Not often. The refs don't often want to give technicals, and when they do, it's always a proper reason.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's true, Fields, but okay, I'm going to take your word.
For the verbal ones, I'm going to roll with it. I've been in that situation. You know what my worst ejection ever was?
What?
I got teched and I said to the ref, "Tech me again." And he teched me again and threw me out. And then I stood there thinking like a stunned mullet. And then I went over and told Andrew Gaze that I didn't say anything. So
yeah, it's funny how life swings. And there you are not too long ago ejecting ladies from houses.
You know, they got the better of me in the end.
Yeah, didn't they?
Davo Hickey, incredibly athletic.
Big time. And people laughed at me 6 weeks ago, and I said I liked what Illawarra had done in the offseason.
Yeah.
I liked the acquisitions they made. They weren't stupid, just spending crazy money. They went out. They realized they're probably not going to be able to get any big, huge name free agents. So they were just really intelligent with it.
Well, Jackomas is quite an intellectual coach, so he's the guy that he's going to be able to work with not necessarily those high-priced guys. As Sam McDaniel can't get the follow.
Maybe.
Hickey, that one's no good. And the Illawarra Hawks with a 6-point lead going into the final term. They came into the second half a 4-point deficit. A 10-point turnaround for the Illawarra Hawks and the Brisbane Bullets with a little bit to do in this fourth term. Derek Rucker's going to get us with all the stats.
And again, just a little bit of tinkering with lineups from Justin Schuler, which is understandable. Just trying to get a feel. Shannon Scott didn't get a lot of burn in that quarter. So it's clear that Schuler's #1 priority today isn't winning this basketball game. However, now that it's a bit close and he can get not only some time for his players to play under a bit of a crunch, he can coach under a bit of a squeeze.
We mentioned the preseason for the refs.
Experience.
It's for the coaches.
Yep.
It's for the floor wipers. It's for absolutely everyone. It's also for one of the new additions to the NBL broadcast, Kelsey Brown.
Yeah, just off the bat that Coach Schuler is taking this second half a lot more seriously. I want to talk about the contrast between the camps. Illawarra are joking about, Dan Greeter's up and about, everyone's having a bit of a laugh, and the Bullets are a lot more serious. So I just want to talk about the contrast in the bench activity and see how that plays out in the last quarter.
Oh, we'll see. It's always dangerous when you just get a little bit of a lead after being down. Kelsey reckons maybe they might just be playing with fire, the Illawarra Hawks. But of course, we spoke about on the Tuesday game about how when a team gets up, we're practicing on holding a lead, we're practicing on fighting back. There's so many different angles.
Yeah, and look, yeah, you're right. There's a lot going on. You know, Shannon Scott, when he was out on the floor, the Bullets looked really, really good. They're a +3 when he's out there, a +18 when Aaron Baines is on the floor, and Baines has only played 15 minutes. He's back out here to start this quarter. The Bullets going with their starters, absent Shannon Scott, but Mitch Norton could very well be a starter at any point during the season. He's more than capable, plenty of experience, championship pedigree.
Sobey gets deep in. He's done a great job of kicking the ball out today. Norton unlucky, throttling the other way with the quarterback pass. Finds Gary Clark, a little bit too much heat on it. Mitchell avoids the charge. Sobey wide open in the corner. That's a formality.
A little bit wild on the break, but it works out in the infield. Sobey looked like he didn't know how or where to catch that ball. Figured it out in time.
As Bales looks to answer back, can't get that. And Sobey will stalk it out of bounds. Your thoughts on Nathan Sobey so far?
Looks good to me. He had a great NBL 1 North campaign as the Ipswich Force won NBL 1 North in an exciting 3-game series over the Gold Coast Rollers, and Nathan was outstanding throughout the season, especially late when it really mattered. He's healthy after the hip injury of 18, 19, 20 months ago. Last season, he came into the season as Harvey dances and finishes. Sobey came into the season a little bit underdone and was always playing uphill early in the season. But this year, he looks like a total different piece. You'd expect him to be a better defender this year and probably play with just a lot better basketball and play the level that made him a boomer.
Of course, another guy that'll be on the radar for Paris after a healthy NBL season. You look at guys like Chris Golding, Nathan Sobey. The NBL season is a big indicator for them in potentially making that Paris squad. And there's other players as well that'll be involved in that, looking to sort of fill out a couple of those end of the bench positions.
Yeah, and it's tough. You know, Matthew Dellavedova's in that same boat.
From what we've seen from Dellavedova over the first 2 preseason games, especially on the offensive end, look, you know, I've never really looked at Delly as a scorer as much as Harvey. When we talk scorers, knock at the door and he shall answer. One of the best scorers you'll find. But the way that Dellavedova is playing, it's almost like in his head he's got that idea that maybe they do need a bit of a scoring punch. So I've never thought that Delly's a guy that could provide that off the bench, but he's putting his head down, getting to the rim. He looks strong, he looks fit. His outside shot is like clockwork at the moment.
Well, obviously, we're not trying to turn this into a Boomers discussion, but...
Oh, no, I'm doing just that, Derek Rucker.
You would think that, and I'm all about it, by the way, Pierce, but you would think that Josh Green, Dyson Daniels, those guys would be given the opportunity to develop and work on their deficiencies and the areas where the Boomers need.
They'll certainly get those spots, but I do think that end of the bench spot that's up to, you know, Chris Golding, Daly, it's going to be tough.
It's tough.
Because I look
but
at
they need perimeter shooting. And who's going to be best served to provide that shooting? Maybe it's someone outside of those 3.
Well, you would have thought Chris Golding was the guy, but it was interesting, and I know a lot of basketball fans looked at it as to why he wasn't used in those stretches towards the end of the game. Now, Brian Goorjian is a far, far better coach than me. He knew what he was doing. But it was certainly an interesting thought. The Illawarra Hawks have broken this game open to a 10-point lead. A little under 8 minutes remain. The Brisbane Bullets going to work to fight back into this one. They're going to need all of Nathan Sobey on the offensive end. Currently with 12 points, Baines leads the way. He's been the star for the Bullets with 17 points, 11 rebounds.
And Chris Smith hasn't been as sharp from outside the three-point line today, 1 of 5. After a very good campaign, preseason campaign from the 3. Sobey's trying to make up the slack.
2 for 2 from the three-point line this quarter. Nathan Sobey and Chris Smith, of course, 21 points in their game against Melbourne United. 8 of those came late in the ball game when they were fighting back. Hasn't been able to find the same success here tonight. Froling pulls down the board, but gets it knocked away. Remonstrates that that ball is going the wrong direction. As Lockie Olbrich gets ready to sub back into the game. It's going to be a timeout for the Illawarra Hawks.
And Clark with good separation on that move, but a very flat shot, Felix. Doesn't have great.
It is quite, a lot of the shots have been flat. And it's looked mechanics have looked a little off tonight. You're not sure whether he's hampered by a little injury or what it is, but we're not just seeing that usual explosive self in this game.
And the way he's carrying himself and trying to get into the shot, it looks like he has a good track record of being able to score the basketball, but just not quite coming at the moment. And fortunately, the Hawks have Lockie Albrecht, who can provide, or certainly has in this game, some scoring, or someone else they can go to out there on the floor and give good minutes.
Well, I've harped on it all game, but Lockie Albrecht definitely the...
Yeah, I'll be, okay, all right. 12, shot clock, Shimon, 12. Okay, all right. Wait.
Mitch Hare just controlling proceedings. No. Successful challenge there. We're 2 for 2 on the successful challenges there. 1 for the players, 0 for the refs in this game. 2 very, very close ones, though, that you can't really fault. It's always tough for the refs with the 50-50 calls because they do have to go one way.
Yes. Yeah. And it's surprising how many times you think it's going to go one way and it doesn't in a 50-50 scenario, Felix. Oh.
Sam Froling tries to go through the chest of Baines. Many have tried, many have failed.
I think Baines' chest really put off the accuracy of his shot there.
You look at how much of an advantage it is. Just Sobey goes downhill there as Baines adds to his rebound tally, gets that one, gets it thrown away by Sam Froling. Revenge on the other end. But what an advantage is being able to go downhill off an Aaron Baines screen. It's so hard for the guards to fight over. He does a great job of not setting an illegal screen. As Johns gets the steal, throws it right back to Clark.
Shot reclock, we got to fix that up. Reset the shot clock. Fix that up real quick.
Oh, a shot reclock.
Yeah. But Baines in that possession, great movement. Went for a baseline side trap, communicated it well. Really frustrated and flustered the offensive player. Unfortunately, Johns wasn't able to get the errant pass to a teammate as he was falling out of bounds. A 24-second complete reset. Advantage Hawks there.
Harvey tries to get to his shot, gets a poke in the eye.
These are always tough, Felix, where they happen so fast you don't realize the severity of it. And Harvey's looking at Norton like, are you crazy? Obviously, he took a hit there. Is that a foul, Felix? They called it. Often they don't call that.
Well, see, what I believe should happen there, and again, if I was in charge of the rules of basketball, we wouldn't have too many fans in the stands. But when you see inadvertent contact that hasn't necessarily been seen by either official, I do believe the game should be stopped, yes, but it shouldn't be a foul. Unless there was noticed contact, as Harvey gets deep into the paint, finds the man of the hour in Albrecht, who says, you know what, I've scored enough. Mason Peatling, you have a nibble.
Just playing good basketball.
Unselfish, smart.
Strong.
He's impressed on all levels tonight, Lockie Albrecht, and I'll tell you what, there is plenty in the stands will have his name on their clipboard by the end of this. Scott struggling under pressure. Can't find that one.
And this has been something that's plagued the Bullets. I know they had different coaches over the years, but the past 3 to 4 seasons, fourth quarter basketball. Who do you go to? Who's your guy? How do you get that? How do you get that guy going?
Well, I'll pose that question to you. Who is the guy this year for the Bullets?
Well, it's still got to be Nathan Sobey.
Yeah.
He's their most dynamic player on the perimeter. He's the best athlete. He's got the mindset for it. That's a nice move.
Well, I think the benefit of having Scott out there is you can just allow Sobey to not have to be worried about controlling the game late. He can do things just like that. And, you know, unlucky with the miss there, but he can attempt to take over a game late.
Now, that shot realistically was probably a bit quick. I'd like to have seen the ball moved a little bit. But having been there myself and understanding, yep, confidence can get the better of you at times.
Tyrell Harrison and Isaac White getting ready to sub back into the game. Isaac White we haven't seen too much, but you look at what he's in this team to do. It's to provide an offensive punch. Now, right now, the Brisbane Bullets over the last 5 minutes of this quarter haven't been able to find too much on the offensive end. So you sub a guy like Isaac White in, and now you allow him to be that X factor.
And they've elected to pretty much call it a night for Baines and Sobey. So kind of be up to the rest of the crew to get this game back tight. And let's see what White and Harrison can do in that position.
As Olbrich goes baseline. The good finish by Mason Peatling there. And Kels, what do you see on the behind the Brisbane Bullets bench there?
Coach Hiller before was saying, I mean, he should have basically just said defense wins games. He was speaking a lot about the defensive end, getting some intensity in there, and he said that's why we're losing the game. So I feel like the defensive intensity is going to be something that we see from the Brisbane Bullets in the last 4 minutes of this game.
Well, we'll certainly hope so. 78-89, 11-point lead as Isaac White gets in. And that is exactly his job in this final stanza. Put some points on the board for the Bullets. We're going to need to do it on both ends.
Well, 4.5 to go. Down 11 with these 2 free throws to come. You got to look at trying to speed the Hawks up here if you're the Bullets. Get into some type of pressure here. Trying to force a turnover. Man-to-man, maybe with a trap. Or you just go a zone press, full court zone press, or a 3/4 court zone press. Try and trap at the weak spots on the court.
We haven't seen too much zone defense over the Blitz so far.
Thank God.
As a
Here
shooter,
we go. They're into the press.
I was always loving it. The full court pressure from the Bullets, down 9, under 5 minutes remain. The Hawks get it over with only 15 seconds left on that shot clock. Clark likes the matchup, gets deep into the paint. The extra pass is tipped.
The first step in the initial movement was good from Clark. And I think within this game, I've seen an improvement in his posture on the move. He's starting to look slightly better.
As you said, sometimes you just got to see a couple go down. Mason Peatling with the step back, not usually his game. And the Bullets will be whistled for the rebounding foul.
Peatling was a big pickup for them in the offseason. If he can come in during the regular season and get similar numbers to what he's done now, 6 points, 3 boards, couple assists, 3 steals, Felix, in only 16 minutes, that's good productivity.
As Hickey backs down on the stronger Scott, who's going to tip it away.
Big stop needed here, Fields. 5 on the clock.
Clark finds the opening baseline. Scott's in the way. He's going to get the charge. A unique guarding position. And the Illawarra Hawks look to set up their own pressure. Two leading scorers for the Hawks are back into the game, Lockie Olbrich and Tyler Harvey. And the Hawks
trying to win, obviously.
Well, you know what? After a year of losing, I don't mind it. And still some wins, get some confidence into that team. I like it. Scott under pressure.
Good defense.
Harrison cleans up the screen. Scott can't get that to fall, but another. A rebounding foul. The refs aren't letting much go underneath the basket. And Harvey is not happy.
And great on-ball defending by Hickey there. Got over the first one. Got a little bit clogged up on the second. Got help from the big to contest Shannon Scott's jumper. I like Hickey. I like what he did last season in limited appearances.
Baines gets it to fall from the outside. Exciting signs for the Brisbane Bullets with Aaron Baines looking to be back to full strength.
Sharp.
He's looking sharp on both ends of the floor right now as he pulls down another rebound. And DJ Mitchell is out in transition. I know Aaron Baines is playing well, but throwing him at the Hungry Jacks logo might be a bit ambitious. A little over 3 minutes remain, a 6-point lead to the Illawarra Hawks, and both teams have said, you know what, bench, just rest a little because we want to put a win in the win column here. White to inbound. Swakalo Bullock with a great defense, takes it away. Can't get the layup to finish. Baines will pull it down again. And wrestles the rebound away, hasn't wrestled back. And just a bit of stat padding from the big man.
What's going on? Let's go. We need a good possession here from the Bullets. Get this thing back on track.
Baines over the top, gets that one taken away.
Well, that was a bad decision. You could see that pass from Mitchell was not on. We had the perfect angle behind him, and he wanted it. He wanted it to be there, and sometimes you just got to have the patience to move that ball on to the next spot.
The basketball gods have just managed to find a whistle there to end the madness. If you want preseason subbed up in 3 plays, then you can have it right there. The Hawks lead by 6, under 3 to go. And a wrestle off the ball ends up with a Tyler Harvey free throw, which will take the Bullets over the limit, and that'll be 2 shots. Isaac White disagrees, but Mitch Hare has been around a long time. He says, I've seen those tricks before.
Aaron Baines doing a good job of keeping Isaac White composed. There was a lot going on off the ball there. White and Harvey were tied up.
There's a little bit of push and shove in this game. I like it. As he say, the season is 8 days away. This isn't a month out from the season that we're seeing these run through. These are their final rosters. These guys are already in winning mode. And right now the task is on the Brisbane Bullets. Missed free throws from the Hawks will help, but they're going to have to get it rolling on the offensive end.
And these two teams, again, they know that they're in the hunt against each other. In the many battles in the season, these two teams were last and second last. To get better, you got to keep the other guy down. They know that, or they better know that.
They always say that a win against the team in the regular season, a win for either of these teams in the head-to-head matchup is as good as 2 wins because they're going to be fighting for similar positions. Baines up top, gets it to Scott. Smith, he's a sniper from outside, proves it.
He was strong late game against Melbourne United, and he's proving once again to be the man they look for late. Hickey just steadies the tempo. Under 2 minutes remain. A 3-point ball game the way of the Illawarra Hawks. Errant pass, gets away with it. Errant dribbling, doesn't get away with it. And a foul in transition, and that'll be free throws for Nathan Sobey with the Illawarra Hawks over the limit.
Well, you could see early in that possession, Hickey was calling for Harvey to come get the ball. He was never comfortable. He turned it over almost the first time, and then eventually it did result in a turnover. Bullets now had a chance to really tighten this game up. Wow.
Three-point game, the Illawarra Hawks lead. Currently the best in-stadium entertainment is happening at the Gold Coast Convention and Exhibition Centre. These celebrity lookalikes on the Jumbotron. Now the interesting thing for me is we've mentioned Nathan Sobey to be the guy to go to for the Brisbane Bullets down the stretch. But Chris Smith, look, he scored 8 points in quick succession against Melbourne United. They just looked for him there and found him. You know, there's certain guys that just have a bit of a clutch gene about them. And Chris Smith, by the way they've operated in the close games they've had so far, looks like Chris Smith could be one of those guys.
And the Bullets have come back with Nathan Sobey and Baines to get that burn into them.
Well, this is who you want at the end of the game. It's invaluable experience to be able to have your guys in these push and shove close finishes.
You know, they've got 4 of the guys out there. You would think, depending on how things are materializing from game to game, you could have a DJ Mitchell or a Tyrell Harrison or a Mitch Norton in there closing the games for the Bullets. But, you know, without having had a lot of success, these could be an important final minute and 46 seconds here for the Bulls, building some confidence going into the start of NBL 24.
Big free throws for Nathan Sobey. Gets the better of the first one. Two for two, merely a formality from the NBL veteran in Nathan Sobey. Of course, a Tokyo Olympian, he's seen bigger pressure than a preseason game. Olbrich, he's been the man for the Illawarra Hawks, along with Tyler Harvey. We haven't seen Justin Robinson this half after a strong outing in the first. Olbrich gets the matchup on Baines, gives it down to Clark, who gets it to go with the and one.
A big-time finish. Smart play by Olbrich. Found a way to get the ball inside, down low to Clark. And great confidence in a teammate who's really been struggling. Not bad defensive pressure there. Johns does a good job of staying vertical. Just a better play offensively by Clark.
Huge play by Clark. A made free throw here. We'll give that 4-point breathing room, make it a 2-shot game. Kelsey, what's the energy like on the Brisbane Bullets bench at the moment?
Yeah, they're very up and about, as is this crowd. I feel like they're getting behind their home team, the Brisbane Bullets. I think it's the loudest we've heard this crowd. They love a close game.
It certainly is. 3-point lead for the Hawks. Just over a minute remains. Scott gets it to Chris Smith.
Oh!
Who doesn't get that one to fall, but Aaron Baines just a little bit too overzealous with the screen there, and it would have been no shot anyway.
We look at the action here as, yep.
Yeah, there was a bit in it. There was a bit of acting, but you know what? There was still a bit of contact. Still a bit of moving contact.
So there's no challenges? Reviews are okay. Thanks.
No challenges remain for either coach. Now it's up to the players.
Wasn't a bad set the Bulls were trying to execute.
But you see how they go to,
they've gone to Smith quite a few times down the stretch. It's interesting.
They believe in him.
Bales. Olbrich and Clark is the man for the Hawks to extend this lead down the stretch. Likes the matchup with DJ Mitchell. Nathan Sobey wants a piece of it, and he gets it. A jump ball. Possession is going to remain with the Hawks.
I thought they were going to hit Clark with feet on the ball because he was trying his best to kick the ball out of there.
And the Hawks with the intent to get Clark on the block. The last two plays. Specifically designed sets to find Clark down low.
Plenty of time. Bullets get a stop. Got a great opportunity to get down and get a quality two.
Harvey from the corner. Just rims out. Clark fights for it. Mitchell reins it in. The pressure's still on.
Bullets bench one, a foul.
40 seconds, a 3-point game. The Hawks lead. Sobey fakes them out. Can't get that to fall. Baines is on the boards, but Clark will bring it down. A 6-second differential between the shot and game clock. Clark finds Bales down low. A tough defensive possession there for the Brisbane Bullets. Just eyes in the wrong place.
A fundamental breakdown. Anytime you go to trap, you cannot expose the basket. You cannot expose the basket. The only pass that you can allow is the long, high, slow one over the top, Felix.
Coach killers. Both teams have been impressive so far. Of course, the Bullets getting out to a big lead in the first quarter. But the Hawks fighting back, and it has been neck and neck since then. But the Brisbane Bullets, with a defensive fade out in the final moments here, has pushed this lead out to 5 points.
But realistically, when you have a look at the stats, Felix, those 25 turnovers are glaring. 25 turnovers from those Brisbane Bullets.
Now that was an awfully loud timeout, so we'll cross down to Kelsey. I'm not sure whether she's going to be able to hear much in that, but
I think I need to learn how to read lips across this side of the court. The crowd, like I said, is very loud, but they said one shot. I think it's going to go to Sobey on a 3.
Sobey rolls around, and again an offensive
Wow.
foul. And this is where we find where the refs are going to be looking and what the refs are going to be looking at for the season. Clearly, there is an intent
True,
to
but there's
stamp
also,
out the offensive foul.
There's also a requirement from the Bullets that they play with the discipline. That's been some bad plays down
It was
that
certainly
final minute.
it was
46.
2 moving screens. It was,
yes.
you know, you can't say that it wasn't there. Unfortunate 2 possessions.
Now the good side, they can fix that up real quick. They can control that coming into the season.
Bullets still applying the pressure. They'll send Bales to the free throw line to push this out to a 7-point game. And if that is the case, it will be all over bar the shouting.
But a very good afternoon of basketball. Constructive for winning and losing teams. We've seen some really good individual performances.
Those individual performances, of course, Lockie Olbrich, we've sung his praises all throughout the game. He has been fantastic and very much part of the reason why the Illawarra Hawks are going to walk away with a win here today in somewhat Bullets territory.
Aaron Baines with a 20-by-20 game. That's big. 20 points, 20 rebounds.
If you could tell the Brisbane Bullets the one thing you'll get out of the Blitz is an Aaron Baines of old. Justin Schuler would be one very, very happy man, and I'm sure he still will be seeing that, albeit the loss. 7-point lead for the Illawarra, for the Illawarra Hawks.
And you know, Illawarra got out of this game without having to drain the legs of Sam Froling and Justin Robinson. They were able to get other guys good burn and come away with the win. So probably a little bit of a psychological edge goes to the Illawarra Hawks coming out of this one.
It'll be interesting to see what the team lineups are for the final games of this Blitz, especially as we approach sort of Friday, Saturday. You'd expect, if you're a young guy or nearing the end of a bench on one of these teams, you'd expect a fair bit of burn.
Oh yeah, you're going to be playing, and coaches at this level, they don't care that you haven't maybe gotten a lot of time in the previous 2 games. They're going to expect you to come out and play to a certain level, play to your potential, and give whatever team or your team the best chance of success. Final 8 seconds here.
The Bullets once again look for Smith from the outside. That one will hit nothing, but it is inconsequential. As it's a 7-point win for the Illawarra Hawks. Went down heavy early, managed to fight back. Pressure on defense. Lockie Olbrich was fantastic, Derek Rucker. A good showing from both teams, but more so for the Illawarra Hawks.
Definitely, and I think if you look at the breakdown in this game, it was the turnovers. But to the Hawks' credit, you still have to capitalize, and you've got to defend. And I thought they did a good job there. They held the Bullets to only 42% shooting from the field. Bullets shot it okay from the 3, 12-30. The Hawks were poor at 6 of 21, but the contributions of Lockie Olbrich and down the stretch, Gary Clark was the difference in this ball game. And it's going to be a real fight for these teams all season long to try and make themselves play-in worthy, Felix.
Well, we see the highlights here. Baines was massive with 20 and 20. Just the game that he needed to get that confidence up for the Brisbane Bullets. Sam Froling strong. We didn't see a huge amount of minutes from the big fella, of course. The Illawarra Hawks just conserving that energy. Lockie Olbrich goes and hugs his parents in the crowd. They'll be delighted with the performance they put on, considering the amount of NBA scouts that are in the building. And tell you what, it's certainly still on the prospects for the 19-year-old in Lockie Olbrich. He wasn't just impressive on the stat sheet. You throw that stat sheet out, the way he moved on defense, you could see him vocal, talking. Couldn't be more impressed.
And on the offensive end, he was vocal as well, providing instruction and clarity to those teammates who weren't quite sure where to go. Very impressive, and the Hawks fans have a lot to look forward there.
And before we wrap up here, we'll quickly go to Kelsey, who was just in the trenches back there behind the benches. What did you think of the game?
I'm fully on the Lockie Olbrich bandwagon. I loved him tonight. And I think it's sad to say that the Brisbane Bullets camp looks pretty flat. They've come off 2 losses in this Blitz. They've obviously got one more game coming up on Friday, so hopefully they can finish this with a win.
Well, lucky for them, the season is only 8 days away before we play for the Chocolates there. Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget, one of the biggest rivalries in the NBL, Melbourne and Sydney, coming right up. Pre-season or not, there is always set to be fireworks between these 2 teams. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you soon.